Coming up, Asian hate crimes rise to historic levels. And later, the future of women's basketball is looking bright. We have the details. Welcome to DITV Now, your flash update on all the biggest headlines coming out of the Daily Iowan newsroom. I'm Elise Gabor. And I'm Katie Wadman. After a two-day trial, a Des Moines Register journalist has been set free. DITV previously reported that Andrea Sahuri was arrested while covering racial justice protests last summer. Sahuri was acquitted of charges of failure to disperse and disruption of official acts. Sahuri thanked her friends, family, and the jury for helping to uphold freedom of the press. Asian hate crimes have been rising since the start of the pandemic. Despite this, the University of Iowa has not condemned the attacks. DITV News reporter Paige Ho talked with students about the UI's lack of response.
Anti-Asian hate crime increased by 150% in 2020. This recent spike in violent attacks against Asian elders broke out in many parts of the nation due to the conspiracy theories about the spread of COVID-19. This leads to a lot of concerns from the Asian students community at the University of Iowa, Asian Pacific Islander Daisy American, or APIDA.
I can't imagine my grandma going to that.
While almost 5% of the UI students belongs to the APIDA community, the University of Iowa has yet to release a statement condemning this Asian attacks and discrimination.
Not only do we have Asian domestic students, but we have Asian international students who are away from their homes and they're living here by themselves, and the only community they have is the University of Iowa community.
Tran Yun believes that because the UI takes pride in their diversity and inclusion, the university should reflect on when and how they speak up on certain issues that affects any communities.
And for the university to not even speak on these issues that are impacting their students' families or students' communities makes me upset.
These violent behaviors could and might happen anywhere. Students can turn to organizations such as the Asian Pacific American Cultural Center or the University Counseling Services for resources and support for the Asian community. From the University of Iowa, Paige Ho, DITV.
As UISG prepares for the upcoming election season, UISG President Connor Wolf is reflecting on his time in charge.
We dove into the deep end more than a lot of student government leaders do, and so that really prepared us for this year. We're very busy this year, but I would say it was 10 times more stressful this summer just with everything going on.
UISG focused on supporting student safety with COVID-19. They also tried to increase awareness of racial justice on campus. Though it has been a difficult year, Connor feels he has learned a lot.
So I think I've had a lot of really unique opportunities to learn how to lead during moments of crisis is I think what I've kind of taken away.
Overall, Connor says the opportunity has been positive.
I've appreciated the opportunity to do it.
Tune in to DITV and the Daily Iowan for coverage of the UISG election season.
I'm here in Bankers Life Fieldhouse where the number 6 seeded Hawkeyes faced the number 11 seeded Purdue Boilermakers. Here's what happened in Game 1 of the Big Ten women's basketball tournament. The Hawkeyes came off the bench and met a hungry Purdue team. Iowa struggled in the first half with their shot selection. However, the Hawkeyes played smart in the second half and crushed the Boilermakers 83-72.
And I just think we found a different way to score. When our threes weren't hitting, we did a great job of penetrating and then finding Monica on the other end of it or getting to the free throw line.
Junior center Monica Sinanu had a huge night. She worked hard to find open shots in the paint and scored a career high of 38 points.
Kind of slides in the lane, elbow shots, short corner shots, those kinds of things were really open. So I'm really glad that the guards were able to make those passes and I was able to knock them down.
Caitlin Clark had a slow start to her night. Clark only scored 3 points in the first quarter, but it didn't take long for her to heat up.
She just does a really good job of kind of recognizing when one thing isn't working and being able to adapt and change her game, and that's something that makes her a really, really good player.
Clark put up a solid 27 points for the Hawks. The Sinanu and Clark dynamic duo were the key to Iowa's first win of the tournament.
Recently, Iowa alum Sue P. Beckwith made the largest donation in Iowa women's sports history. DITV sports reporter Claire Green found out what this means for the future of Hawkeye women's basketball and other women's sports.
Head coach of the women's basketball team, Lisa Bluter, is the first coach to receive the P. Sue Beckwith MD women's basketball title. Beckwith was a former women's basketball player at Iowa during the late 1970s. After graduating from Iowa, she went to Iowa's medical school and is now a doctor. She has recently donated $7 million to the women's basketball program and is the biggest donation in program history.
Dr. Beckwith donated to the Iowa women's basketball program because of her ties to the university. Her legacy will continue on through current head coach Lisa Bluter.
I've always been proud that the University of Iowa has had so many female athletes that have gone on to make incredible impacts in the world.
Dr. Beckwith is truly an inspiration and has paved the way for future successful Hawkeyes.
Endowments are a really important part across our entire campus of securing a strong future.
This is just the beginning for Hawkeye female student athletes. Reporting at Carver Hawkeye Arena, Claire Green, DITV Sports.
5 Hawkeyes were recognized in the Big Ten Postseason Conference Award. Senior center Luca Garza took home the top honor, Big Ten Player of the Year. This is the second year in a row Garza has won this honor.
This year coming in, I had all those expectations, so I was already a marked guy in the league, and coaches already knew what they were going to try to do to stop me, and so it was definitely more of a challenge. But my whole focus the whole year was winning games.
Along with Garza, senior Jordan Bohannon and sophomore CJ Frederick earned honorable mentions. The junior Joe Wieskamp was the second-team All-Conference honoree. On top of this, freshman Keegan Murray was selected to the 5-player All-Freshman team. Murray is the 10th Hawkeye to be recognized on the All-Freshman team and plans to appreciate this honor after the season is finished.
Just to be recognized with those great players that are in the same class as myself, I just think that's something that I'll really appreciate after the season. Really, right now I'm just focused on winning games in March.
The Hawkeyes will play in the Big Ten quarterfinals tomorrow night in Indianapolis. Iowa no longer has a statewide mask mandate, but Iowa City Mayor Bruce Teague kept the city masked up. DITV reporter Oliver Wilhelm talked with students about the change.
Even though there's no statewide mask mandate and it's finally warm enough to walk about with your face uncovered, it seems like most students still support wearing masks.
I'm glad the mayor's keeping the mask mandate. I think it's important for, every inch of science shows that we need to continue to wear our masks. Even when we are vaccinated, there's still some possibility of spreading asymptomatically, so it's important that all students, our entire campus community, the entire state of Iowa continues to wear masks throughout the pandemic.
But some supported it for more personal reasons.
I know I'd feel very uncomfortable and feel very unsafe if we didn't, because I know even though we still have a mask mandate here, there are so many people that still don't take it seriously or as seriously as they should, especially coming from a household where I've got family members back home who have health risks.
Despite this, some understood Governor Reynolds' decision to repeal the mask mandate.
I hope Reynolds made an informed decision in taking away statewide. I can kind of see why she does it, coming from a rural background and knowing a lot of people that had very different feelings about the mask mandate. But here in Iowa City, I think it's a good idea to keep it.
It looks like masks will be around for a little bit longer. From Iowa City, this is Oliver Wilhelm, DITV.
Put away those winter coats. For now, today will be sunny with a high of 55. Temps will dip down to a low of 30 degrees in the evening. Take advantage of the shining sun before the colder weather flows back into Iowa City next week. Thanks for tuning in to DITV Now. We'll be back tomorrow with the latest on the University of Iowa, Iowa City, and Hawkeye Nation. Come back for the latest on COVID-19 in Iowa and the trial of Derek Chauvin. For DITV News, I'm Elise Gabor. And I'm Katie Wadman. Have a great